what can go wrong will go wrong for the Dallas Cowboys. And this is another example of that with Ceedee going down with this ankle injury. And to have him go out right now it just sucks.
When the clip hit social media, nobody was ready. CeeDee Lamb lined up, the snap came, and then silence. His ankle twisted in a way that made fans look away, yet they couldn't stop replaying it. In seconds, a game highlight turned into the internet's worst nightmare. Let's break it down. The moment that stopped Cowboys Nation. The football world held its collective breath on September 21st, 2025, as what should have been a routine Week 3 matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and Chicago Bears at the iconic Soldier Field transformed into a nightmare scenario that would leave millions of fans across the globe absolutely stunned and horrified. The Cowboys entered this crucial early season contest already facing mounting pressure after a disappointing one to start, including a crushing Week 1 loss to their bitter division rivals, the Philadelphia Eagles, and only narrowly managing to escape with a victory against the struggling New York Giants in Week 2. The weight of expectations for this storied franchise, combined with the relentless scrutiny that comes with wearing the star on your helmet, had already begun to create an atmosphere of tension and uncertainty surrounding the team's prospects for the 2025 season. But nothing could have prepared Cowboys fans, players, coaches, or even neutral observers for what was about to unfold in the opening quarter of what would become a catastrophic 31-14 defeat that left the franchise reeling and searching for answers. The central figure in this unfolding drama was none other than CeeDee Lamb, the team's four-time Pro Bowl wide receiver and newly minted highest-paid player, fresh off signing a massive 4-year, $136 million contract extension that had finally resolved his contentious holdout from the previous training camp. Lamb, who had established himself as one of the NFL's most explosive and reliable playmakers since being drafted 17th overall in the 2020 NFL Draft, was about to experience a moment that would not only threaten his immediate playing future, but also expose the brutal and unforgiving nature of professional football in the most visceral way possible. The play that would change everything began innocuously enough, with the Cowboys facing a 1st and 10 situation from their own 25-yard line, seemingly setting up for what appeared to be a standard offensive possession in the early stages of the game. What made this particular play call so shocking and, in retrospect, so devastating was the decision by the Cowboys coaching staff to line up their premier wide receiver in a wildcat formation, essentially asking him to function as a running back rather than utilizing his elite pass-catching abilities that had made him one of the most feared weapons in the entire National Football League. This unusual deployment would later draw severe criticism from fans and analysts alike, with many questioning the wisdom of exposing such a valuable asset to the increased physical punishment that comes with carrying the football between the tackles.
The position of his ankle as he gets tackled here by this Bears defender. So remember, we're looking at Lamb's left ankle. As he comes down here, we're going to see that left foot get planted into the ground, and then this is that externally rotated position.
As Dak Prescott handed the ball to Lamb, the sequence of events that followed would unfold with the kind of sickening inevitability that makes sports simultaneously beautiful and terrifying. Lamb demonstrating the versatility and competitive spirit that had defined his college career at Oklahoma, where he had worked with future NFL quarterbacks Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, and Jalen Hurts, took the handoff and immediately darted toward the left side of the field, looking to find an opening in the Bears' defensive front. The collision that would change everything occurred as Lamb planted his left foot to make a cutting motion upfield, a fundamental movement that receivers and running backs execute thousands of times throughout their careers without incident. However, on this particular play, Bears linebacker Noah Sewell was converging on the same exact spot with the kind of violent force and precision that defines elite defensive play at the highest level of professional football. The impact, captured in excruciating detail by multiple camera angles and subsequently shared millions of times across social media platforms, showed Lamb's ankle becoming trapped between Sewell's tackling form and the unforgiving turf of Soldier Field. The physics of the collision created a perfect storm of devastating forces, with Lamb's planted foot becoming the unfortunate focal point of an aversion motion that forced his ankle to roll outward at an angle that human joints were simply never designed to accommodate. The immediate aftermath of the collision was as heartbreaking as it was medically concerning. Lamb, who had built a reputation throughout his career for toughness and durability, having missed only 3 games in his entire NFL tenure prior to this moment, crumpled to the ground with the kind of immediate physical distress that transcends the normal bumps and bruises that are simply part of playing professional football. The sight of this elite athlete, who had been moving with the fluid grace and explosive power that had made him a household name, suddenly reduced to grabbing his lower leg in obvious agony, sent an immediate chill through the Cowboys sideline and the viewing audience.
The one thing that I think saved him here from a more severe injury is it didn't look like his ankle was quite as dorsiflexed or brought upwards.
The viral nature of this footage cannot be overstated in terms of its immediate impact on the football community and beyond. The clips, which first appeared on X, formerly Twitter, during the game itself, and were quickly amplified by major sports outlets including ESPN, Newsbreak, and countless fan accounts, generated over 2 million impressions within the first 24 hours. The combination of the high-definition camera work, the slow-motion replay technology, and the sheer visceral nature of watching a human joint bend in ways that it was never meant to bend created a piece of content that was simultaneously impossible to watch and impossible to ignore. The immediate response from Cowboys trainers and medical personnel demonstrated the seriousness of the situation. Within moments of the collision, Lamb was surrounded by team medical staff who quickly removed his shoe and sock on the sideline for a preliminary evaluation. The fact that he was able to walk off the field under his own power provided some initial hope that the injury might not be as severe as the horrific visuals had suggested, but the obvious discomfort and the cautious manner in which he moved immediately raised red flags for anyone familiar with high ankle sprains and the devastating impact they can have on an athlete's mobility and effectiveness. As Lamb limped toward the sideline, favoring his injured left ankle with each step, the cameras captured not just the physical pain etched across his face, but also the visible frustration and disappointment of a competitor who understood that his team desperately needed his contributions. The Cowboys' offense, which had already struggled to find consistency through the first 2 weeks of the season, would now be forced to operate without their primary weapon, and the player who had led the NFL in receptions during the previous season with an astronomical 135 catches.
Video clearly shows what looks like an Achilles rupture for Ceedee Lamb.
The viral footage that would later shock fans around the world captured every agonizing detail of this sequence, from the initial impact through Lamb's immediate reaction and his eventual exit from the field. The combination of multiple camera angles, high-definition replay technology, and the sheer dramatic nature of watching a star athlete suffer a potentially serious injury in real time created a piece of content that transcended normal sports highlights and became something much more significant in terms of its cultural impact and emotional resonance. The aftermath and what it means for America's team. The reverberations from Ceedee Lamb's shocking ankle injury extended far beyond the confines of Soldier Field, creating a ripple effect that would fundamentally alter the trajectory of the Dallas Cowboys' 2025 season, while simultaneously generating one of the most viral sports injury videos in recent memory. As the dust settled from that devastating Week 3 collision and the medical analysis provided some clarity about the injury's severity, the focus shifted to understanding the broader implications of losing their star receiver during what was already shaping up to be a challenging campaign for America's team. The immediate impact on the Cowboys' offensive performance was devastating and undeniable, as the team managed only 240 total yards without their primary weapon. The stark contrast between the explosive offensive potential that Lamb provided and the anemic production that followed his exit highlighted just how integral he had become to the team's identity and success. To truly understand the magnitude of this loss, one must examine the remarkable journey that brought Ceedee Lamb to this pivotal moment in his career. Born Ceedarian DeLeon Lamb on April 8, 1999, in Opelousas, Louisiana, his path to NFL stardom began in the aftermath of tragedy. When Hurricane Katrina devastated his hometown in 2005, his family relocated to Houston, Texas, where he would eventually attend John and Randolph Foster High School. As a senior at Foster High School, Lamb's statistical dominance was nothing short of extraordinary, recording 98 catches for 2,032 yards and 33 receiving touchdowns, numbers that placed him among the elite prospects in the entire state. The college career that followed at Oklahoma was nothing short of spectacular, as Lamb had the unique privilege of working with 3 future NFL starting quarterbacks during his tenure with the Sooners. Baker Mayfield, fresh off his Heisman Trophy victory, was Lamb's first college quarterback, followed by Kyler Murray and eventually Jalen Hurts. This unprecedented opportunity to develop chemistry with multiple elite-level quarterbacks provided Lamb with invaluable experience that would serve him well throughout his professional career.
Yeah, it seems surreal sometimes, you know what I'm saying? So my first year coming, having Baker, he's fresh off a Heisman, and then for him to go back to back, that was fire. And then knowing I had Kyler in the chamber, that was elite. And then you got Jay Hurts, he came in, he was a Heisman finalist as well, so I had 3 of them, 2 winners, 1 finalist.
His college statistics tell the story of consistent improvement and dominant production, culminating in his junior season, where he recorded 1,327 yards on just 62 receptions, an average of 21.4 yards per catch that set an Oklahoma school record for players with 50 or more receptions. These numbers weren't just impressive from a statistical standpoint, they demonstrated the explosive playmaking ability and big play potential that would make him such an attractive prospect for NFL teams. purpose. The goals and aspirations that have driven Lamb throughout his career were perhaps best articulated during his recent appearance on Kevin Hart's Cold as Balls show, where he laid out his ambitious vision for the 2025 season and beyond. These weren't merely the boastful claims of an overconfident athlete. They represented the mindset of a player who had consistently backed up his words with exceptional performance throughout his career. The pursuit of 2,000 receiving yards in a single season would place him among the most elite receivers in NFL history, while Offensive Player of the Year and Super Bowl MVP honors would cement his status as one of the game's truly transcendent talents. The leadership role that Lamb has embraced within the Cowboys organization became evident during the same interview as he discussed his approach to facing the immense pressure and expectations that come with playing for America's team.
Has the media had any effect on you? The expectations are so high and what they want to see from you guys, and not getting to the next stages, the next levels. Has it had an impact on you at all?
Positive impact.
However, Lamb's career has not been without its share of controversies and challenges, particularly regarding his financial negotiations with the Cowboys organization. The 2024 contract holdout that preceded his eventual 4-year, $136 million extension was a contentious period that cost him over $1.5 million in fines and created tension between the player and the organization. The holdout, which lasted throughout training camp and preseason, saw Lamb accruing daily fines of $40,000 while missing crucial preparation time with his teammates. The financial stakes of the holdout were enormous, with projections suggesting that Lamb could have topped $1.5 million in total fines if he had missed the team's first preseason game. The resolution of the contract dispute ultimately made him the second highest paid receiver in the NFL, but the prolonged negotiations highlighted the sometimes difficult relationship between star players and team management in the modern NFL. Beyond contract issues, Lamb has faced scrutiny from the league office regarding his on-field celebrations and conduct. The NFL has fined him over $50,000 throughout his career for various infractions, including recent penalties for what the league deemed violent touchdown celebrations. Most recently, he and Steelers receiver George Pickens were each fined $14,491 for a choreographed celebration that involved fake punches, which the NFL considered inappropriate. The league has also attempted to curtail Lamb's signature nose wipe celebration, citing concerns about its potential association with violence or gang affiliation. Performance-related controversies have also followed Lamb, particularly during crucial moments when his production has fallen short of expectations. Cowboys fans and analysts heavily criticized his performance in the season-opening loss to the Philadelphia Eagles, where several dropped passes, including potential touchdowns, contributed to the team's defeat. These moments of struggle have led to intense scrutiny and criticism from the passionate Cowboys fan base, who expect elite performance from their highest-paid players. Following a particularly poor performance against the Baltimore Ravens in 2024, Lamb publicly apologized for his effort and attitude, stating, "I failed myself, and obviously, I failed the team." This level of accountability and public self-reflection demonstrated his maturity and understanding of his responsibilities as a team leader, even in the face of adversity. The relationship dynamics within the Cowboys locker room have also provided insight into Lamb's character and leadership style. His connection with quarterback Dak Prescott has been particularly strong, with both players working together to resolve any on-field chemistry issues through direct communication rather than allowing problems to fester. This mature approach to conflict resolution has been crucial in maintaining the effectiveness of their partnership despite the pressures and expectations that surround both players. The departure of former teammate Micah Parsons to the Philadelphia Eagles via trade created another interesting dynamic, as reports suggested that Parsons had rankled teammates, including Lamb, with his egotistical podcast persona and locker room behavior. Despite these reported tensions, Lamb maintained a diplomatic public stance regarding his former teammate, referring to Parsons as "my dog," while acknowledging the personal edge that would exist when facing him as an opponent. Looking toward the future, Lamb has already begun considering life after football, demonstrating the kind of forward-thinking approach that characterizes successful athletes who transition well into post-playing careers.
Are you thinking about life after football at this stage in your career? And if so, what are the things of interest for Ceedee Lamb that he would be thinking about doing?
Yeah, but I'm not too focused on it, but I'm obviously having a brain outside of it, right? So like for me, I like to be creative. I like to create clothes. I love interior designing houses.
These entrepreneurial interests reflect a well-rounded individual who understands the importance of developing skills and passions that extend beyond his athletic career. The combination of creative pursuits like fashion design and interior decorating with his established success in professional football paints a picture of someone who approaches life with the same strategic thinking that has made him successful on the field. The medical analysis that terrified Cowboys Nation As the shocking footage of CeeDee Lamb's ankle injury continued to spread like wildfire across social media platforms, generating millions of views and countless reactions from horrified fans, the football world desperately sought answers about the severity of what they had just witnessed. The gruesome nature of the slow-motion replays had left many observers fearing the worst, with the unnatural angle of Lamb's ankle during the collision raising immediate concerns about potential season-ending damage that could derail not only his individual campaign, but also the Cowboys' hopes for a successful 2025 season. Within hours of the injury occurring, multiple sports medicine professionals and injury analysts began providing their expert interpretations of the footage, utilizing their medical training and experience with similar injuries to offer insights into what had actually transpired during that devastating collision. Dr. Deepak Chona from Sports Med Analytics was among the first to provide a detailed breakdown, suggesting that the injury appeared to be a mild high ankle sprain based on the mechanism of injury and Lamb's immediate response. His analysis, which would eventually garner over 1.8 million views on social media, provided both technical medical insight and a sense of cautious optimism that helped calm some of the initial panic among Cowboys fans.
I would not be surprised at all if we see him miss about a month, if not longer, and go on the injured reserve.
The medical consensus that began to emerge from various experts painted a picture that was concerning but not necessarily catastrophic. Dr. David Chow, widely known as Pro Football Doc on social media, analyzed the footage and concluded that Lamb had suffered a left ankle eversion sprain that would likely not require an IR stint. His assessment focused on the specific mechanism of injury, noting that while the visuals were certainly disturbing, the fact that Lamb was able to bear weight on the ankle immediately after the collision suggested that the damage might not be as severe as initially feared. The technical aspects of what had occurred during the collision became clearer as more medical professionals weighed in with their analyses. Dr. Evan Jeffries, a doctor of physical therapy, provided a detailed breakdown of the injury mechanism, explaining that the inward force applied to Lamb's planted foot had created the perfect conditions for a high ankle sprain, while also noting the need to rule out any potential fracture. His analysis highlighted the fact that high ankle sprains, while often less severe than traditional ankle sprains in terms of immediate pain, can actually be more problematic for athletes due to their impact on the stability of the ankle joint and the longer recovery times typically required. What made the medical analysis particularly fascinating and terrifying for Cowboys fans was the detailed explanation of exactly what forces had been applied to Lamb's ankle during the collision. Dr. Brian Suter, in his comprehensive video breakdown, explained how the dorsiflexion position of Lamb's ankle at the moment of impact had created maximum tension on his Achilles tendon and the entire triceps surae complex. His analysis, which compared Lamb's injury to other high-profile ankle injuries in professional sports, provided viewers with a deeper understanding of the biomechanics involved and the potential long-term implications.
What we're dealing with for Lamb is the mechanism that would concern us for a high ankle sprain. We're going to look straight on here first to see the position of his ankle as he gets tackled here by this Bears defender.
The timing estimates provided by various medical experts created a range of scenarios that left Cowboys fans cautiously hopeful, but still deeply concerned about the immediate impact on their team's offensive capabilities. Dr. Chona's analysis suggested that Lamb would likely miss approximately 2 weeks, potentially returning for the team's Week 5 matchup against the Green Bay Packers. However, other experts painted a more conservative picture, with some suggesting that high ankle sprains in professional athletes often require 4 to 6 weeks of recovery time, especially when the player's cutting ability and explosive movements are crucial to their effectiveness on the field. The complexity of high ankle sprains as injuries became a central theme in the medical analysis that followed the viral footage. Unlike traditional ankle sprains that typically affect the ligaments on the outside of the ankle joint, high ankle sprains involve damage to the syndesmotic ligaments that connect the tibia and fibula bones above the ankle. These injuries are particularly problematic for skill position players like wide receivers because they directly impact the athlete's ability to make the sharp cuts and explosive directional changes that are fundamental to their position. What made the situation even more concerning for Cowboys fans was the understanding that high ankle sprains often present a deceptive initial appearance. Many athletes who suffer these injuries are able to walk and even attempt to continue playing immediately after the incident, only to discover later that the damage is more significant than initially apparent. This phenomenon helped explain why Lamb was able to return to the game briefly for one play before ultimately being ruled out for the remainder of the contest. The specific details captured in the viral footage provided medical experts with an unusually clear view of the injury injury mechanism, allowing for more precise analysis than is typically possible with sports injuries. The slow-motion replays showed the exact moment when Lamb's ankle was forced into eversion, with his foot rolling inward while Bears linebacker Noah Sewell's weight came down on the joint. This clear visualization allowed experts to identify the specific ligaments that were likely affected and to provide more accurate timeline estimates for recovery. The comparison to similar injuries suffered by other high-profile NFL players added another layer of context to the medical analysis. Experts noted similarities to injuries suffered by players like Dak Prescott in previous seasons, while also highlighting differences that might affect the recovery timeline and long-term prognosis. These comparisons help provide Cowboys fans with realistic expectations while also demonstrating that athletes have successfully returned from similar injuries to maintain high levels of performance. For Ceedee, the game was so precious. He wanted to give his full efforts.
Give me your predictions attached to the Dallas Cowboys. You got pieces to the puzzle. Do you see yourselves getting to the big game, big dance, deep in the postseason?
I do.
The role of modern medical imaging in providing a definitive diagnosis became a crucial element of the story as fans waited for official word from the Cowboys organization. NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reported on Monday that imaging had confirmed the initial diagnosis of a mild high ankle sprain, providing some relief to fans who had feared more severe damage. The psychological aspect of recovering from such a visually dramatic injury also became part of the medical discussion. Sports psychologists and injury specialists noted that even when the physical damage is relatively minor, the mental impact of experiencing and then repeatedly seeing such a traumatic injury can affect an athlete's confidence and willingness to put themselves in similar situations. The broader implications for the Cowboys' offensive strategy during Lamb's absence became clear as medical experts outlined the typical recovery timeline for high ankle sprains, with projections ranging from 2 to 6 weeks, depending on the severity and Lamb's individual healing response. The Cowboys would need to find ways to maintain their offensive effectiveness without their primary weapon. This challenge was particularly daunting given the team's early season struggles and their reliance on Lamb's production to move the ball effectively. The medical analysis that emerged in the days following the viral footage ultimately provided a comprehensive understanding of what had occurred during that devastating collision at Soldier Field. While the initial visuals had suggested the possibility of career-threatening damage, the expert consensus painted a picture of an injury that, while significant and certainly impactful in the short term, was unlikely to have lasting effects on Lamb's career trajectory or long-term health. Well, that's it for this video. But don't go anywhere because we got plenty more heat for you. Just tap any of the cards on your screen right now and keep it locked.